Hi, I'm Coach Michael Burt. To get a free copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, text 678-506-7543. Text to get a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, and I'm going to turn you into a legendary creature. All right, we're live. Webinar now streaming live on Facebook. Now, here's the deal. Facebook must really like you, Ramiz, because I've done this 487 times. And let me tell you, every time it's been buffering or thinking or preparing. So tonight I have Ramiz Hakim, one of the founders of North Star Insurance Advisors over in St. Louis, Missouri, or really not in St. Louis, but how do you say it? Wentzville, or how do you say it?
Wentzville, right outside of St. Louis. Yes.
Right outside of St. Louis. And I've had the privilege of knowing these guys for several years now. We've been through a lot together. We spent a lot of time together. We got to know each other at a very deep level. And there's been nothing but good energy throughout all of those times. So I'm really excited tonight. I've been doing a number of things, Ramiz, to basically feed people during this period, you know, and just feed them content, feed them information. You know, I know lots of people, some people are selling at a very high level during this period. Some people are not selling at a very high level during this period. And I have seen the whole spectrum. I have seen people making millions of dollars during this cycle. And I have seen people scared to death during this cycle, right? And I want to go back to where this concept of responsibility rationing started. But before I do, I want to give people context. For people that don't know you, I want to give them context of where the company is today so they can really understand where this concept originated. So how big is the company? How many people do you work with? You can share whatever numbers you want to share, whether it be revenue numbers, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I do want people to understand that this started as one person, two people knocking on doors, right? And it has become this, because I want to give people some hope tonight that they can build something big. If they see something optically with the eyes or in the mind, they can build something. So give us some context on that.
Yeah, North Star Insurance Advisors is a company that is selling and marketing life insurance 100% over the phone and digitally. The company was started with the concept of how do we make salespeople's jobs easier. And we were in an industry, we are in an industry that is just archaic in the way that it markets and sells life insurance. I mean, when I first got in the industry, I used to have to knock on people's doors to collect cash from them to pay their premiums. Okay. Now I wouldn't even know how to process that. And so, but currently the company is out of Wentzville, Missouri, the home office is. There's a little over 200 people that work out of that office. And then there's 7 other satellite locations that are all plugging into this hub that is designed as an assembly line for the client to experience each aspect of the sale. So they come in as a prospect and they leave as a client and as an advocate of the business.
Yes. Now, when this started, right, you were, what would you consider yourself, a solopreneur?
Definitely.
Like there's a single proprietor that was out there in the world selling insurance, no different than any other insurance salesman in the world, right?
That's right.
And you were selling insurance, somebody's insurance.
That's right.
You were brokering an insurance deal.
That's right.
And you knocked on the door, asked for the sale, had to sit in there and sit through. You've told stories of all the things you had to sit through.
Yes.
And then at some point you said, man, this there's got to be a better way. How many times have people said this?
Yes.
I mean, I've gone home numerous nights saying to myself, there's got to be a better way to do this than the way we're doing it. Yeah. And I'm all for hard work. I'm all for putting time in. I'm all for long obedience in the same direction. I'm all for mastery. But when people tell you there aren't any secrets, they're lying. There are secrets. People do know how to do it better. So start with the concept of, okay, you have this thought, right? You have this revelation. It's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
This is an archaic way. All right. What's the first step you do?
Well, I think Coach, I had a unique perspective on business, which really, I never went in to get into business because I saw my mother and father run a restaurant in Dayton, Ohio. Me and Tony, my younger brother, before my youngest 2 siblings were even born, literally lived in the restaurant. I can't say literally, but 12 to 18 hour days in the restaurant, sleeping there, waking up, going to school, coming back, doing our homework on cardboard boxes. So I knew from the very beginning, early on in life, this American dream of owning a business is a nightmare, and I want nothing to do with it. So when I was put in a position to have to make some money, I thought I would get into sales. And much like many industries, anything that's 1099, I didn't know it at the time, but they just hire just about anybody. You're just a warm body just to go out there and market their product for them. Well, I landed in the insurance business, and I did pretty well. But what happened is I found myself in the same situation where my mother and father were just decades earlier. And so I knew very, very quickly, I don't care what it costs. I don't care how much money I'm going to make. My life is much more important to me than making money. And I just am not going to sacrifice that. So very quickly, I began to look at the business that I was in and making money and saying, how do I get myself from not dying at the footsteps of success within the insurance industry and begin really building a business that serves me? So my first step was first to identify, man, I got a problem here. I'm already deep, and I know how this story ends if I'm not careful. So that was the first step, is like, listen, this is not what business is supposed to look like. I was serving my business as opposed to my business serving me.
Yeah. And a lot of people, that is unfortunately the American nightmare for a lot of people, right? It's you can call it golden handcuffs. You can call it, but at the end of the day, your business runs your life, right? It doesn't serve your life.
That's right.
And that is inverted in a lot of ways. The business, I mean, I worked 80 to 120 hours a week as a basketball coach for $60,000 a year. And I kept telling myself, man, I'm a level 10 dude. I'm stuck in a level 4 opportunity. Like, this vehicle cannot get me to a better place.
Yeah.
Financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like, I'm in a bad place, man. And I was having a lot of success. So the first thing you did when you had this revelation, because we know the cycles: revelation, conviction, action. You had this revelation. What did you do then? Did you go hire people? Did you have enough money to hire people? Did you have excess cash? Did you, I mean, what did you do? What did you, because there are a lot of people out there scared to death, Ramiz.
Yeah.
You know this, to hire one person.
Yeah, sure.
To spend $1 because
Yeah.
it's going to eat into their profits.
Yeah, right. Well, I was fortunate that I have a really, really good mother. And Coach, I know that you know her. And so she's a strong woman, boy.
She is.
So I convinced her to have her come work for me. And at the time I was living in her basement. So she really believed in me. Okay. And so I said, Mom, I really feel like we can do something here, but I'm finding that I'm really good at making sales, but setting appointments and answering service calls and filling out applications and mailing them into the carrier and faxing and it's taking away from me generating new revenue. So I said, I need you just to do this one thing for me. At the time, all she did was just set my appointment. She'd bring in the leads. She'd set my appointments. I'd go run the appointments. And if somebody no-showed me or something, she'd know about it so she could reschedule that appointment for me. So that was the first thing, was taking off my plate the important aspect of the business of getting me in front of people. That's an important part of it, but that's not necessarily a direct income generator. The income comes from me meeting with those people and closing down the deal. But there's stuff that lead up to that. And I knew that part was eating up a lot of my time, just getting me in front of people. So that was the first thing that she did for me. And honest to goodness, I didn't have the money to pay her. I was betting on that week had to be a good week to pay my mom, Yeah. And you can owe strangers money, but you can't owe mama money. And
what's so funny is when I interact with your mother, I feel like I'm interacting with my mother. Okay. so they are two of the strongest willed women I have ever met in my life. So, which, strong women breed strong boys like us, right? I mean, that's part of the reason we have this toughness about us.
That's right.
So I want to come back to a point that a lot of people get confused. I believe a confusion is a problem that appears to have no solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's a confusion. There is a solution. It just appears to you that there is no solution.
That's right.
So many business people during the day run around doing all these things, but they don't do the main thing, which is produce money,
That's right.
produce revenue. And they're busy, as Covey used to say, caught in the thick of thin things. They're majoring in the minors.
Yes.
Now, what you said is, because it's even got me thinking about the structures of the companies I coach, the structure of my company. Everybody has like a skill set.
Yeah.
And this was really the birthing of responsibility rationing, because you said, I want you to handle this, and I'm going to handle this. And we're going to be a whole lot more productive. I'm going to be in my strength zone. You can be in your strength zone, and we're going to produce. Now, I won't say immediate, but what was the result of that first decision?
More sales,
yes.
More revenue, and you have taught me to call that putting people in their unique abilities.
Yes.
I didn't have a word for that at the time. I just knew, hey, you're really good at filing paperwork. I hate it. So why don't you file paperwork? And I just watch you file paperwork. So you've taught me to learn, you've taught me to call that a unique ability. And so and as entrepreneurs, I think the marketplace tells us that we need to always be hustling and grinding, but no one has really defined what does that mean? Do I work for the sake of working, or do I hone in on my skill set and really maximize what I can do by doing something that not only am I good at, but that fills me up, that I enjoy doing? We got gals in the office, man. They can do stuff that I couldn't even touch, like calling customers and wishing them happy birthday. I always talk about that because I got people in the office that literally call people on their birthdays and wish them happy birthday. And they love it. They smile. They're hugging each other at the office. They're all emotional. When we have to leave the office and work from home, I'm going to miss you. I can't believe that this is happening. And I would rather plunge toilets than have to call people all day and wish them happy birthday. But that's what fills them up.
That's right.
And so it took me some time to understand that not everybody is like me. I enjoy the sales aspect of it, and I dread everything else. So very quickly, I identified, how do I put myself in a position where all I'm doing is selling? That's all I wanted to do.
Well, I think, that concept of unique ability is really an important one that we miss. We kind of just throw people into positions and say, hey, you do this and you do this. And you and I both have become more sophisticated in how we predictive index people or disc profile people. And those profiles will tell us, this is what Ramiz is strong at. This is what he's weak at. And I can't tell you how many, for years, Ramiz, I didn't use a disc profile. For years, I would just say, man, I could take anybody and turn them into something special. And then it wouldn't work. And here's what I quickly figured out. Those adults wouldn't yield to authority like those high school kids I coached did. Those adults, so then it was about putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Right. And saying, I'm really good at this. And as the owner of the company and as the founder, this is what I want to do every day. Like, this feeds me.
Yes.
This makes me happy. There's a happiness. Matt Monero, as you know, we're buddies with him. And one of his core values is that, you want to be there, right? Yeah. But he also says it's not only happiness of the employee, it is also happiness of the owner. Like, both people have to be happy. Because sometimes the employees are happy, but the owner's not, or the owner's happy, but the employees are not.
Yes.
So as you started to build this culture, did you know from the beginning? Because if you ever been there, I mean, obviously you guys have one of the top cultures in the world. That's kind of probably what I think you're known for is this responsibility rationing, great sales, great culture. People love to work there. Did you have that vision initially? Like, I'm going to build a great culture. I want to architect this culture. Or was it just, hey, let's make it fun. Let's make it family. When did that happen?
Yeah, no, there was no doubt about it that we identified very quickly. This had to be a family environment, and it had to mimic the family. You got to be careful when you say that, because some families are dysfunctional. So they've got a family environment. Their family is just crazy, So because I was working with my mother, my brothers are in the business. I'm very close with my partner and the people, So that family environment, that real close, tight knit, I got your back and you never need to look over your shoulder. That was ingrained from the very beginning. I can't say that we did that consciously, other than we knew, that's all we knew at the very beginning was, listen, I'm throwing a Hail Mary here. I can't really afford to pay y'all, but if you do well and you put me in a position to succeed, I will pay you. And thank God we've never missed a paycheck ever, because people have always just sprung to action when we needed them to do that. But that culture really starts with how you hire people. And much like you, we've made some bad hires and probably held on to them too long for some time, but we've become really, really good at identifying, do people fill this team, fit in with this team atmosphere? That's the first prerequisite before their resume or their acclimates or previous success. Are you someone that's going to fit into a team atmosphere? And if they can do that, we can almost always find a place for them in the company.
Now we've got a question here. And what is Ramiz and Tony's company producing per year, and how many writing reps? How many reps do you have? And I guess the question is, what are you producing per year? If you and obviously you don't have to share that, but that's up to you.
Yeah, sure. So we sell a product that's final expense life insurance. So this would be a small face amount life insurance policy that's really earmarked for a niche market of a lower income senior citizen. So our average premium is about $800 a year is what our clients are paying. And then when they pass away, a death benefit is activated that goes to the family to pay for the funeral. We targeted and we're on pace for 34 million of new revenue, new premium this year. But since the virus, we have upped that. I think we're going to end up closer to 50 million this year of new premium. Over the past 4.5 years, we've produced over 100 million. And every year we've grown by about 50%. It just duplicating our efforts.
Now, all right. So let's dissect that, because that's astronomical growth from a lot of people's. I mean, I guess that would be considered hyper growth for a lot of companies, right? And when you're growing at 50% growth, you're growing at a very rapid rate.
Yes.
And if you had to put that into context of steps, let's say I forced you to codify it. And I come to you and I say, Ramiz, you and I are writing a book together, big guy. And I got to have the 7 steps on how you 50% growth year over year went from this. What would you tell me they were?
Well, the biggest thing is that we are super ultra focused. We sell literally one product, one way, one script. We all use the same rebuttals. We all, I mean, everything is identical, and coach, you've been in the office many times. It's an assembly line. I mean, really, the company is sectioned off where you need to have key cards to get into the marketing department. But if you're in the marketing department, you can't even go in the sales department. Like, it is an assembly line that starts with getting people to raise their hand, say, hey, I'm interested in life insurance, and then putting them through an experience that then pops out a client at the end. And so that one major step is being the master at one thing. That's all we've done. We broke the code on one thing, not life insurance, not financial services, but specifically, how do I help low-income senior citizens that make less than $24,000 a year pay for their funerals? That means if you're making $40,000, you ain't my client,
right?
And so we turn away a lot of business on the front end because they don't fit our very specific mold that we're trying to put that cog in, and that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of conviction in what you do. And it works for us. And people think that we're crazy because the insurance industry, even the sales industry in general, says find as many ways to generate new revenue, have a robust product line, find something for everybody. And that may work for some people, but to scale, which is what we've done very, very well, is getting everybody pointing in the same direction at the point of a needle. Like, we can point to the point of that needle and say, that's what we do. And for that, it's very easy to duplicate. In the learning curve and the training, it's very, very tight because you're learning one product one way, and everybody is marching to the beat of the same drum.
Now, so there really is just one step, and the one step, that's the whole book right there, right? Hey, I'm so glad you said that, though, because so many entrepreneurs are so interested in so many things, and you hear so many people talk about multiple flows of income, but the alternative to that, which I think is very sound. I am doing more of this myself. I am narrowing it down to 1 or 2 products that I love doing, that are totally scalable, that we can make a fortune doing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that comes back to riches in niches, and you've got the niche and you've got the discipline. How do you not get bored doing one thing? Does that factor in?
Well, the environment dictates all of the other aspects of the employee and management and leadership experience. I mean, you're going to get bored. It's phone work, you know. I mean, put any product or multiple products on the phone, and after a while, it becomes a grind, right? And so the culture, the competition, you've helped us identify ways to activate specific people's prey drives. These are things that help motivate people and allow for them to want to do more because they're coming in. You know, I would go so far as to say that we are more of a self-development company that sells life insurance as opposed to a life insurance company that is trying to get better. Did I lose you, Coach Burt? Oh man, Coach Burt's frozen, and I think this is still going live. This is dangerous. He's going to leave me alone here and let me do my thing. Hey, ain't no reason to stop this. I'll break down this assembly line approach while Coach Burt is staring at me eerily through his frozen. Oh, he's gone now. It's just me. Coach Burt just has me as the host of his show. This is amazing. Don't get confused, y'all. Coach Burt did not grow a beard. I just shaved my hair. All right, he's reconnecting right now. So the way the program is designed within our organization is every single step, every aspect of the client experience is really segmented down. So not only are we a focused company, but every department is extremely focused as well. So we have a department that all they do is do all of our marketing, television, digital marketing, direct mail, getting as many people, the masses, raising their hand and saying, I want to learn more about this product. When those people raise their hand or call in or fill out a card, whatever it might be, every single one of those leads goes through what we call our pre-qualifying or marketing department, okay? It's a segment of the marketing department. And so these leads or these customers that are calling in are first being vetted to make sure that they fit our very specific client that we're looking for. So we're asking them medical questions. We're ensuring they have an interest. We understand that we want them to know that's going to cost them money. We make sure they have a means of paying for this. We make sure they fit the demographics that we're looking for. As long as they qualify to work with us, that client then graduates to the next step of the experience. More than 50% of the people that call in, we're pushing them off elsewhere. All right. So in some cases, we throw the lead away. In other cases, we're sending them to even a competitor of ours at times. When that customer that fits our cookie cutter model moves on to the next step, he is now being presented to a salesperson who then begins the formal sales process. Now, this salesperson has a script. This script is designed to put the customer through an array of emotions. It's the same script that every single person is trained on. I'm talking just about word for word. Just about word for word. The salesperson does their presentation and allows for the customer to make a decision at the end. If the customer chooses to do business with us, which in this scenario, more times than not, they're going to, because again, it's a very, very specific client we're looking for. Everything is done paperlessly. In the insurance business, most things have been done through wet signatures and all that other stuff. This is all digital. The client signs the application with their voice, and this salesperson now closes down the deal, thanks the customer, and then that file then gets assigned over to our customer service department. Our agent at this time will probably only speak to this customer once in a blue moon, maybe on their birthday, maybe on their policy anniversary date, but that's really it. Again, with the mindset of scalability. That's what we're doing here. Scalability without giving up, without compromising quality. You see, in the customer service department, we're then producing a policy for this person. We are also sending out a welcome packet. any questions that the customer may have, they're calling into this customer service department, never to the salesperson. The salesperson's job is to make sales. Everything else is being handled by a customer service rep. Within that customer service experience, we have a conservation department, which in essence is a collections department. There he is. Hey, coach.
Hey, big guy.
You had me on a roll.
I just wanted to see how good you were if you had to improvise.
I told him, don't let the beard fool you. I can still act like Coach Burt. I'm already halfway there.
Oh, sorry about that. We just went cold in one room, so I had to come down to the greatness factory.
I was just finishing up. I was breaking down the entire experience of the client, conservation, which is kind of like our collections. And then we have a department that all they do is just soft touches. Happy birthday, happy Veterans Day, happy, whatever, just to make the customer aware that we're still there for them and we are here if they need anything. And so again, every person within that segmented client experience has a very specific task. And coach, I feel like that not only does this work in life insurance, but I really do feel like many sales organizations kind of miss the boat on this. Their sales guy is also their customer service guy, is also their collections guy. It's also their prospecting guy. And that's very difficult to scale. So if you took any business and said, okay, what's the client experience? You could segment that off and then hire people to do very focused tasks that fit their unique ability, by the way. And that will allow for you to not only be more profitable, but have much more brand loyalty amongst the employees and allow for them to do what they enjoy doing most.
Now, let's talk about that for a second, because I agree with you. I always joke and say, I like Neapolitan ice cream, but it's chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and you don't mix the three together. There's clearly delineated things. Why don't most companies that are out there, especially small businesses, they just don't understand. They've got one person doing 4 jobs. That person is tired, exhausted, run down. It's miserable to go to work there. Like, what's the number one reason that the small business owner didn't just get this concept of distribution of labor?
Fear.
Okay.
I think it boils down to fear. I think they are afraid that doing this is going to cost them, as opposed to allowing them to expand. Because the reality is, I think people are too ultra focused on ROI, return on investment, than they are on total profitability. So if it costs me, $3 to make $5, but I make 1 sale a day, I'm only making $2.
Right.
But if it costs me $4 to make $5, but I make 100 of those a day, it appears as if it's a less profitable model, but I'm making more money by allowing that investment within my people and within my business. Yeah. So total profitability is where your focus should be, not on a micro level where you're just focused on a one cost per sale, which is important, by the way. I'm just saying, you're going to be small time if you're always looking at small numbers.
I always say when I'm telling people about coaching, I'll ask a person, now, if I helped you make $1 million more a year, would you mind giving me this much? And they would go, well, of course not. And I say, well, this is crazy. If I gave you $1 million, would you give me this much back? And they'd say, well, sure I would. And I'd say, well, okay, then what's keeping you from moving forward with your coaching?
There you go.
Right. And so it's a thought pattern, but let's talk about your philosophy about cash flow, because when you hear big time people, Bradley, Cardone, whoever, that people watch out there, they believe that cash flow is used to produce more cash.
Right.
Okay. Then you hear some people say, no, you need to be this profitable. Like, I have some friends that say we won't do anything unless it's 70 to 80% profitable. Then I have other people say we use cash to make more cash. What's your personal belief about this?
Yeah, you need to leverage cash to make more cash. And to use the word risky might be the wrong adjective, but the more aggressive you are, the higher the payout is at the end. But most of the time, coach, it boils down to how risky are you betting on yourself? Like, what do I believe I can produce? So the cash bows down to me. And so if I feel like I can produce, then I'm going to demand that cash to do what I want it to do. I think too many people look at cash as their master, allow the cash to dictate what they need to do, where big time people, I believe, have confidence in themselves and would still do the same things whether they're talking about $10 or $10 million, that they're still betting on themselves. So I think it's more of an inward introspective look at what am I willing to do? And if that doesn't scare you, then the cash will come. And that's just a minor detail to the equation.
Yeah. One person typed in, scared money don't make money.
Right.
When I was a basketball coach, it was playing not to lose always guarantees losing.
That's right.
And for you now, where did this mindset in you come from? Are these learned skills, in your opinion, from the coaches you've had, from the things you've gone to? Is this something that along the way you had the whole time? Did you have that? I was not raised by entrepreneurs. My parents went to work. They went to factories. My mom was a nurse. We didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about assets and liability. We didn't talk about balance sheets. We didn't talk about building something. I mean, it was very much get up and go to work, right? That's what we do, which has been a good trait. But at the same time, I wasn't thinking like an entrepreneur. I wasn't thinking, how do we build a $35 or $50 million company?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, where did this come from in you?
I think too many people, again, are focused on the money. I was always focused on helping people. How do I help more people? I went to Bible college. There's a long story to it. I had to drop out for a number of reasons. I never wanted to get into business. Like I've never, and I know this is probably against what most people believe, but I've never really been that money motivated, to be honest with you. I'm just really motivated to helping people. And so early on, I just knew if this was going to be my ministry, I needed to hire and train and develop as many people as I could. And money had to be a byproduct of that. Now, over the years, I've been able to articulate with certain terms, what did that look like? But initially, it wasn't about the money for me. It was about, okay, there's people, there's friends. I mean, when we first started, our first office was out of a trailer, okay? I'm talking, I'd complain to the landlord that it was cold inside, and he'd put saran wrap on the outside of the windows kind of trailer, all right? But that was the funnest place that I think at any time in our business. We had the deck stacked against us. People were making fun of us because we're working out of a trailer. Odds were against us, but it was me, my mom, my brothers, my friends, everybody rallying around serving a much greater cause. And because of that, we could have been in a trailer, we could have been in a hole. It didn't matter. We were people helping people, and that is what produces profits.
Now I'm glad we got to this point, because this is really your core philosophy. People producing profits, pour into your people. They are the geese laying the golden eggs. We take care of the people, right? I mean, I'm an old school disciple of Covey, and Covey always taught us to build the emotional bank account, to pour into people. And if you poured into those people would give you all parts of their nature, which was their body, their mind, their heart, their spirit. They wouldn't be halfway in, they'd be all the way in.
Yeah.
So most of your time and attention is spent on building this culture, right? Where people are operating at a high frequency.
Yeah.
And why is that hard? Is that easy? Is it because lots of people we know motivate through fear? We know lots of people motivate through, coercion. We know lots of people motivate through all types of tactics, but they don't really get the most out of their people. Like the people have either rebelling or quit. They have malicious obedience, or they have willing compliance. Mm-hmm. They don't get to creative excitement. They don't get to heartfelt commitment. They sure don't get to synergy. Mm-hmm. So what would you tell people out there that are trying to build something when it comes to their people? What could leaders do better with their people?
You have to identify you're in the people business. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You are in the people business, and your profits at the end of the year is dictated by how well you can relate to people, period. Yeah. How well you can motivate them, how well you can get their loyalty, all internally digested as opposed to an outside force, by the way. And so in our business, you'll hear the motto over and over and over. And again, people still to this day make fun of us. They're like, that didn't even make sense. But we say it, people over profits.
Yeah.
Period. So we put our people before our profits.
Yeah.
And that is a very controversial statement in the business world, because everything comes down to bottom dollars and to appeasing stockholders. That's how businesses run. We don't do that. See, and this is why, Coach, right now, in the middle of this pandemic, as everybody is running around scared, nervous, fearful, we are breaking records week after week after week. And the people of this business are more excited, energetic, confident, and convicted than they've ever been, because they saw a company before the government said you had to do this because we cared about our people. We're working in close proximity. Before the government said you have to do this, they saw us take a risk on them and say, listen, we're not going to wait for the government to tell us how to run our business. We're already nervous about this, and we're already working in close proximity. So we're giving everyone 72 hours. We're shutting down all locations, and everyone works from home. Mm-hmm. That next week, we had jumped by over 20% in sales with nothing changing.
Wow.
Just simply taking our people and saying, we believe in you to go work from home. We're not set up to work from home. We don't have like these special things where we can watch people's screens. We don't have video cameras or live Zoom calls for them. None of that stuff. It's just, we're going to manage you based off the numbers. You know what your job is, do it. And they understand that. And everyone took that baton and is still running now, where since about 5 weeks ago to now, 5 weeks was a record week. We have broken that record 4 consecutive weeks after that.
Yeah. And I would say what's interesting about that is there's probably companies that have sent their people to work from home, which they had to, and they have not seen that kind of results, mm-hmm. right? They have probably seen a dip in results, and they're freaking out because they can't manage them and they can't control them and they can't. Now I use something in my company, which is I like to get a person to a high degree of personal responsibility. Mm-hmm. And here's what I'm saying. I don't want you to do this for me. I want you to do it for you and your family.
Right.
And you're not trying to appease me. It's not, I ask people what numbers you want to hit. And then my job is to help you hit the numbers you want to hit. Right. And it's not for me, it's for you. And you've got your reasons and why you want to hit those numbers. Right. And you want that personal self-satisfaction.
Right.
If you really study Prey Drive that we talk about a lot, it's the reward is the pursuit. Yes. It's not catching the reward. The catching the reward is like, okay, we caught it, right? It's the pursuit. Like every week y'all are having record weeks, and it's like, okay, well then we just keep pursuing. Once we get the reward, we don't stop. We keep going.
Right.
So for the people, let's talk about the controversial piece for a second. Now, you have very strong beliefs, right? You have very strong beliefs about that, and you put those beliefs out there, right? Like in your personal beliefs, what's the strategy behind that? Is that, I've been talking about marketing and positioning, and, I probably don't put my beliefs out there as strong as I could, and I really don't know why, because I live in the Bible Belt. I think some people couldn't handle if I was as strong as what I think, what I put out there. So I temper it some. Right. But you have some very thought-provoking, interesting, person of interest type. I mean, you get a little involved in politics, local politics, you get involved in this. I mean, what's the thought process behind that? Because I believe if you don't have a message that repels some people, you won't have a message that attracts the right people.
Yeah. Well, people ask me sometimes, because I do juggle a lot. I'm heavy in the nonprofit sector. I am doing some political stuff, which everyone says, dude, you're crazy, get out of that. And I'm like, that's just who I am. Yeah. But instead of looking at my life in different buckets, like family and religion and work, to me, it's all in the same bucket, baby. Mix it all up. It might look like mush, but this is what it is and who it is. And so I do have strong beliefs, and in many ways, I'm not afraid to share those things, but I'm also try to be respectful and tactful. Sure. But Coach, people like to follow people that believe in things. They don't like wishy-washy people. Yep. They would much rather say, I disagree with what he's saying, but I like him.
Yeah.
People can do that. Yeah. And many times people just want to believe in a person, I look at, for example, I'll give you a real quick synopsis here. We've been quarantined, self-quarantined for 5 weeks now. There's no way I'm taking my kids or my family out there. That's my personal belief. Yep. Now, last week, there's people out there that are protesting, and everyone's all up in arms about these people protesting. but I support those people. That they have the right to not quarantine. Let them do what they want to do. Now, that might be controversial because you don't believe that, but man, this is America, for gracious. Like this is what America's all about.
Right.
I'm allowed to get the coronavirus on purpose if I want to, and I'm allowed to stay at home past the quarantine if I want to.
Right.
I probably will, to be frank with you, because just because someone's a bozo and they're wearing, a American flag shirt and they're waving flag, I don't have to agree with them. I can just say, I support them. Right. To do what they want to do. And that just takes a different way of looking at it. And I think it comes down to just someone's ability to relate to people. Like, dude, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I support you.
Yeah. Well, that's such an unusual mindset in America today, because, we get adversarial with people that we don't believe the same things they do, versus just saying, I have a belief, you have a belief, and we don't believe the same thing, but that's okay. That's okay. And I think, to your point, I think people are looking for people to believe in. I think people do business with other people that believe the same things they do. Mm-hmm. And I always say, I have my beliefs. Not everybody believes the same things I do. And that's okay. Doesn't make me right and them wrong. That's right. Right. It just means we don't believe the same things. And that's okay.
I like to tell people, I'm right and you are allowed to be wrong. That's okay.
Now let's talk about recruiting. Because I think to a lot of people, I've heard this before, even in my company. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to, we're going to go through a lot of people, the manpower it takes. Like it just seems like there's going to be this huge, big ordeal to get people in. And talk to people about that mindset, because a lot of people don't want to grow. It's like, well, every time we hire a person, we got to train them. Then 3 of the 4 don't work out. Then we let them go. Then we've wasted all this time. And we could have just done all this on our own. But you can never grow like that. Talk about that.
Well, you got to hire leaders and begin morphing those leaders to become an extension of you, an extension of the company. And so sure, it takes a lot of hard work. But I ain't the one that's doing all the hard work. That's what I got a trainer for. Why do I have an onboarding person for? Why do I have an HR department? Why do I have, it's a lot of hard work, but that doesn't mean I got to be the one to do it. And so I just have to be the guy that gets it going, hires the right people, trains them, that one person, and then gives them the liberty of allowing their own personality and their own flavor, as long as it falls in line with the company's core value, to go with it and run. I just replaced myself with a trainer. I was doing all of the sales onboarding of the sales training for our salespeople. That was really the last thing that I've relinquished within the company. And I sat, after I trained him, the next time we did a sales training, I sat through the sales training, and you can ask Carrie, my assistant. I said, he's better than I am. He's better than me. What more as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, what more do you want than to hire somebody and train them and then be better than you? So now we're hiring more people. And because of that, we're losing more people. We're contracting more people. We're doing more HR issues. Everything is more now. But because we took the time at the beginning, the infancy of the company, and trained people and put them in the right positions, it ain't more work for the owners. It's just more work for the employees. And you can hire more of those as long as it's the right person.
Exactly. And there's a process, right? There's a protocol. There's a structure. There's a system. You're just plugging people in. And I used to call my basketball program the Greatness Factory. Mm-hmm. Is we're taking people from all walks of life, all socioeconomic backgrounds, 1 parent, 2 parents, no parents, rich, poor, and we're putting them into a system.
Yes.
And the system works. Right. And if they work the system, they will be successful.
That's right.
And that's really what you have, is you have your own little greatness factory there. Right. And everybody comes into the system. But you have a fundamental belief that you can take a person that has some raw ability, some raw skill, some knowledge, some skill, some desire, some confidence, and you can put them into your system. And I believe, just from my work with your company, that you fundamentally believe you can enhance and enrich their life.
if they want to.
If they want to. You're giving them an opportunity and a system and a product. This is so critical that we're giving you, right? No matter what you're doing for a living, if you want a better life and you believe you have more talent and skills and desires and it's inside you, we're going to give you the vehicle.
Yes.
Get you there, right? And you've seen people that came in and have just, their whole life has been changed.
Oh man. I mean, my number one salesperson, at the time started off at $8 an hour when we were first getting started. We could only afford to pay $8 an hour. She'll make over 300,000 this year. Not to mention the number of people that have left our organization as salespeople and said, I want to take my business to the next level, and have opened up their own sales centers and are now hiring their own salespeople, plugging in to the larger infrastructure. And so totally. And that's what I think makes at least entrepreneurship in general, but specifically our company, so special. I mean, that's the magic behind what we're doing, is taking somebody and saying, listen, I believe in you, and I'm going to show you how to tap into your hidden potential. And we do that constantly, all day, every day, because when you can take somebody and enhance their work life, it's going to enhance their personal life. And both of those are going to feed into each other. They become better people. They become more responsible. They become loyal to your company and evangelical to your cause. So now we're spending less on hiring ads than ever before, because everyone's telling their friends and their family, come work for my company, because my company takes care of its people. And we're okay with that. You know, some companies don't like mothers and daughters and cousins. They shy away from that. To me, if you treat everyone right, and it shouldn't matter. So now when we fire somebody and it's someone's daughter, you know what happens? The mother comes up and says, you know, I'm really sorry. You know, Janice has been like that her whole life. I've been trying to fix her. You know, what? It's magic. That is the spirit, I believe, of entrepreneurship. Taking something raw and repurposing it for something worth more. You can do that with people too, and products.
Yeah. And that is actually one definition of entrepreneur, is to take lower level resources or raw materials and take them to a higher level of productivity.
Yes.
And so now you believe in personal development. You believe that you and I line up philosophically, right, on whole person theory. We feed the body, the mind, the heart, the spirit of all four people. Speak to, because you guys have spent and invested a lot of money in growing your people over the years. Yeah. Conferences, rewards trips, coaching programs, big events that you've hosted. Like you see that as, just talk to the person out there that's scared to spend $1 on investment of their people, because there's so many. I mean, that's what we do every day, is we sell coaching to companies. Yeah. And it's like, it's very hard to sell, to be honest with you. It's a hard product to sell because it's an intangible, right? And I could say, this company made $40 million more when they did these things. This company made this, and it's like, no, it's an expense. They see people as an expense. They see training as an expense. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's an investment, is what it is. And what you do is, if you expose your people to a different way of thinking, to different activities, or just different environments, it opens up their mind. It broadens their perspective to things that they may want for themselves. Now you have to allow within your organization a very clear path for people to hit their own personal goals. So listen, if you just are looking for first line people, you're one guy, you ain't looking to grow, it's going to be hard to inspire people to do better for you. I mean, I'll be honest. But if you have a growth mentality, your company is looking to grow its people and a company as a whole, you got to expose them to a different way of thinking. So we do crazy stuff. I mean, goodness gracious, we've chartered private jets to take people to football games, sitting on the 50-yard line. That has paid us dividends, because they would have never have done that on their own. Last year we went to Monte Carlo, took all of our top salespeople to the French Riviera, stayed at a 5-star resort. Their guests, food and beverages and entertainment and excursions, but we do that to get them thinking much higher, much at just a higher frequency. So when they come back, they're on fire, man. They're just on fire. We took the most elite of the people to a trip to Israel. We went and spent a week in the Holy Land, and And I was their private tour guide, and just got to tap into themselves spiritually. They came back, man. They weren't even walking around the office. They were floating. Their feet never even touched the floor.
Yep.
So those things, you invest in your people so that when they come back, they reinvest it back in your business. And you pay for it in many ways. Less turnover,
yep.
higher efficiency, much better culture. And they become, I say this, and this is so important, they become evangelical to your cause. Like they take the torch and they say, I work for a company that stands for something, and I stand behind this company. And for that reason, you should do business with this company and you should work for this company.
Right.
You can't teach that. That is only something that you can show and prove with your actions by investing in them monetarily and personally.
Yeah. Well, I think that old saying, you can buy a man's hand, but you can't buy his heart.
Yes.
And what you really want is the whole person, right? To come in every day and be on fire. Well, this has been fun tonight. I hope you had a good time, man. I think with the new haircut, you and Tony are starting to look more alike. I really believe that.
We're trying to get at your level, coach.
All right. So Thursday night, we're going to do a sales marathon. And I'm excited about this. We're going to tackle everything you can think of when it comes to sales, how to get people on the phone, how to open a conversation, how to build momentum, how to build rapport, how to do discovery, processes for overcoming objection. Like to me, it's just going to be a lot of fun. And we'll have you on, Tony, right? Jonathan, all of you guys have been in sales roles, and we're going to kind of bring you in and out. And for the people that are out there watching it, it's going to be a live webinar. We're going to go for a good 3 hours. So eat your Wheaties. Okay. And, you guys be ready for this. So if you were telling a person, last parting comment on responsibility rationing, there's a business owner out there that's going home tonight, Ramiz, and he's miserable. He hates his business, right? Like I had a friend tell me once, you're going to build something that one day you wake up and you absolutely hate. Something you love, you're going to hate. And I told him, oh, come on. I would never hate my business. And one day I rolled over one morning after about 37 straight days of motivating people. I told my wife, I said, I hate this business. I did, and it wasn't that I hated the business, but man, I was tired and I was worn down, and I was, so give that guy or girl who's driving home tonight at 7 o'clock and they're dead tired, and it's the 100th day that they've done this in a row. Give them a little bit of hope as we leave tonight. Tell them what could happen if they just take some actions.
Totally. And again, most people have just never seen something scale executed like this before. It is not that hard. I remember, Coach, sitting at 10X2 and seeing you on stage and thinking, man, I really like that guy. I can't wait. One day I'm going to meet him. He's going to give me all the secrets of the world, and I'm going to be able to do some major things. And then I met you, and you're a nice guy. And I'm like, he's just a normal guy, he's just a normal dude. And even to this day, I still meet people that I've looked at and thought, I just can't wait to meet this person. And then I meet them, and I just leave there thinking, there ain't that much difference between me and them. They're just normal dudes that are just doing what they love to do and looking at a different way of doing it.
That's right.
So for the person that's like thinking, well, look at, must be nice for you to be sitting on this side of the story and giving me your backstory. It's like, man, you know what? You're just one decision away on betting on yourself and saying, I've had enough. I want my business to serve me. When you've made that decision, that's the end of it. I think too many people have just taken what it is for what it is and just thought this is the way it's going to be. It doesn't have to be that way. And there's no difference between you and you and Coach Burt. Right. There's no difference. You just got to there's just people that get over the fear, bet on themselves, make a decision, and then run with it. It's that simple. I wish I had some, philosophical thing to say, but it's really that simple.
Well, I think to your point, when I spoke at 10X, that's exactly what I figured out, is that those people on stage that I'd admired, those people that I'd read their books, those people that I'd watched, they were no better than me. And you know, I was on a thing on the Rise Up Challenge this weekend, and every major influencer has been on that Rise Up Challenge that Pete Vargas did. They say 100,000 people will watch it. And, you know, I think you just got to get in the game, man. You make a decision to get in the game. And once you get in the game, and even till you get to the high level, these people are good, but you're good too. And that's what you gotta bet on you. They're no better than you.
Yes.
Okay. It's just a decision to go. So I'll close it out tonight. I've been on this kick about GoPro, and Pressfield wrote, "Do the work, GoPro, the war of art." And really he said something in GoPro that he decided to leave his amateur desires behind. And finally, one day he made a decision to go pro, right? And I think that's really what we've been talking about tonight, is building something, leaving our amateur solopreneur desires behind and doing it, man, and doing it at a high frequency. So Ramiz, always enjoyed being with you. We had 73 to 80 people on here at all times with us tonight. We had another 70 or so on Facebook watching us. So you guys come back on Thursday night, be looking for the sales marathon we're having on Thursday night. And Ramiz, as always, thank you for being you, big guy. I'm proud of you. And I don't say that in a condescending way. I say it I always say, when I tell somebody I'm proud of them, I don't want to sound like I'm their dad, but at the same time, I'm proud of people that are doing big things, you know?
Well, the feeling's mutual, man. Thank you so much.
All right. You guys have a great night. There you go. Responsibility rationing. Me and Ramiz Hakim, North Star Advisors. If you want to learn more, man, just get out there and look at what they're doing. It's really, really been an amazing journey for them. So have a good night. Thank you.
See you, Coach.
I'm Coach Michael Burt, and the #1 book that I've written over the last couple of years that could help you during these unusual times is a book I wrote called Inside the Mind of a Monster. Now, I want to give you that book. All you have to do is text 678-506-7543. Because when you text that in, I'm going to give you a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster. And it's going to show you the habits and mindsets of top producers and how they attack every single day versus play defense. Don't you want to play offense? Get this book. I'm giving it to you, and I'm telling you, I'm going to turn you into a legendary creature.